Hey there, and thank you for coming to my walk-up webinar. I know webinars can be tough to coordinate, and sometimes you just want to watch them at 1.5 times speed. Either way, this was put together for everyone so that you can extract real value in the most convenient way possible. I'm Matt Foreman, and I run Lawn and Land Marketing, and in the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through exactly what we do for green industry companies. This is not going to be like the sales pitch version of it. This is going to be the real operational version, and by the end you'll either think, yep, that's the partner I've been looking for, or at the very least you'll be crystal clear about the things that we do so that you can leave smarter about what modern digital marketing actually requires, and you can actually take these steps and apply them to your own business. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, before I show you what we do, I have to show you why most marketing for lawn care and landscaping companies don't work. Because if you've been burned before, and I know a lot of you have, it's not random. There is a pattern. And once you see it, the rest of the presentation is going to make a lot more sense. So here are the 4 things that I see over and over. One of them is channel chasing. So this is pulling one lever. The agency or freelancer picks one lever, and whether it's just SEO or Facebook ads or even just a new website, and they pretend that's a whole strategy. It is not. We'll get more into that momentarily. Number 2 is the vendor distance. And I'm not talking about like, are we out of state from each other? I'm talking about more along the lines of, are we aligned in that distance in what your goals are versus the goals of your vendor or partner of choice? Okay, number 3, we typically see that whole cookie cutter approach. So it's going to be like the same template or the same ad copy, but they run this for all types of companies, whether it's a chiropractor or a plumber or you. And then number 4 is that they don't have a real system. So yes, stuff gets done, but nothing compounds, nothing really connects. So we really try to focus on the opposite, and that's building an actual system. So ultimately, those are the main reasons. Those are the big 4 reasons why your money disappears and why your phone's probably staying a lot more quiet than you would like it to be. So every piece of what I'm about to show you is designed as the opposite of those 4 things. So we've built this into a real system run by people who only work with the green industry. So we're going to talk about the 9 connected disciplines: website, SEO, paid ads, reputation, CRM, automations, reporting, consulting, and a dedicated success team operating as one engine behind your business. Okay. So just a little bit about us, who we are, who I am. So we are Lawn and Land Marketing. We are a green industry focused only digital marketing growth partner. We work exclusively with lawn care, landscaping, hardscaping, irrigation, land clearing, and other outdoor living companies. And that's it. We don't moonlight with dentists or roofers, and we don't operate like a typical agency because we operate like an internal growth partner. Because we focus this way, you don't have to train us to understand your business. We already speak your language, your seasons, and we understand your customer too. And that distinction really does matter, and you'll feel it in everything I'm about to show you. So we operate on 3 core principles here. It's the fact that we are a partner and not a vendor. We want you to feel the difference. We want you to know that you're heard. You're not just going to be another statistic. We do operate on radical transparency. I tell my team, we will never get fired for being over communicative. So having that great transparency coming to and fro, it's really helpful to make sure that we stay aligned on our goals. And then number 3, yes, we operate fast, but we do it accurately. So that's why we call it speed plus care. Okay, because these decisions, anything that you come to us with, we are doing it very quickly as if we were your in-house team, but we're also going to be doing it very strategically and carefully as well. Okay, so here is the full picture at a glance. All right. Together, this makes up your entire growth engine. So we have your website, local and AI SEO. Sometimes it's called AEO or answer everything optimization, or you'll see GEO, which is generative engine optimization. Then you have paid advertising, and we spend a lot of time specifically in Google. So those will be Google PPC, local service ads, LSA, or Meta, which is typically Facebook and Instagram. Then we have your reputation, then the CRM that you want to have in place. We're going to be focusing on automations, tracking and reporting, consulting, and then the glue of all of this specifically is a great client success team, so that everything is running smoothly. Okay, so let's dive into the foundations first. We're going to talk about your website. So the website is the single most important asset in your digital marketing. Full stop. It's the most important thing. It's where every point of reference to your company and services pull data from. So it's where Google searches end. Where people search on Google, this is where they end up. It's where referrals go to check out your company before they even give you a call. So if your website is weak, everything else that you're going to be doing is just pouring water into a leaky bucket. But if your website's strong, every other channel gets a multiplier. So this is why we obsess over your website. Every site we build is tailored to the green industry. We're not just pulling a generic small business template and swapping out your logo. We know how a homeowner shopping for a landscaper actually makes a decision. And so we know which photos they want to see. We know the questions that they're asking before they're even going to pick up the phone. And we know how to structure the service pages and service area pages so Google can actually rank you. You shouldn't have to teach your agency about your industry. So in this case, we typically focus on 6 major core components for your website. So obviously we want the design to look world-class, but it needs to be industry focused and industry aware. So we structure it so that people that make it to your website understand your industry right off the bat. And then the very important thing is obviously we need to match the copy. The copy needs to be written specifically for your company, your industry, your service area, and that's what's ultimately going to help many of these search engines understand who you are, what you do, and where you do it at. Third, and this one can be changing, especially lately with AI, but you do want to select the correct platform. So we like to focus on WordPress because WordPress is it's the most popular web builder in the world. It's the most common, it works well, search engines love them, and it's really easy to hand off. So let's say if you were to work with another agency, you don't want them building such a custom website that if you ever left them, then you're kind of screwed unless you know exactly how to build and manage the type of website they've made. So with a WordPress website, it's very universal. It's very easy to understand. You own it. You'll have the keys to the castle right out the gate. The next thing, we need to focus on conversion. So obviously having a great website is amazing, but you want to turn those visitors into actually paying leads. So we want to make sure that we have CTAs or call to actions in the correct places, whether it's forms or phone numbers or even live chats. They need to be very prominent and easy to understand when people are on your website on what they need to do. The next thing we need to focus on is performance. So obviously we need a fast performing website, but it needs to be mobile focused. So mobile first and fast. That's very, very important to us because now over 70% of your traffic is going to be on a phone now. It is far exceeded that 50-50 split. Now, I know you as an owner, you probably check your website on your computer and maybe you think it looks great. I recommend that you check it out on mobile. Check out that mobile experience. Use it yourself on mobile. If it doesn't load fast or if it's not as easy to understand on mobile, you need to fix it. And then the final thing, this needs to be connected to everything. Your website is your all roads lead to Rome place. This is where everything needs to coincide. So whether it's the information about your business or the systems that you're setting up. So like your CRMs, your chats, all the call tracking, everything needs to be interconnected and woven into this entire experience. Okay, and so next we want to talk about the structure of your website, because this is very, very important. This is just kind of a quick skeleton of a lawn and land marketing website. So you obviously want to build a homepage. It's built to convert, but we want to have main service hub. Okay, and so this main service hub is going to have basically broken down into two different types of services. You're going to have your core services. So think something broad scope like landscaping or lawn care. And then you want to have the individual services that make up those core services. So in the case of lawn care, that might mean lawn fertilization, weed control, core aeration, overseeding. And so you want to have pages that are dedicated to obviously the core service of lawn care, but then individual pages for all of those individual services that make up lawn care. Okay, and next you want to have a very clear service area hub. So you want to have individual city pages so that you actually show up in local searches for every place that you serve. Okay, so the next thing you want to focus on is actually building your website to grow. So yes, your services should be on there. Your service areas should be on there. For the most part, they're static. Sure, you might be adding new service areas. You might be adding and removing services. You might be adding programs later on. But you also want to focus on the parts of your website that are going to continuously growing. So this is not to say that you shouldn't have other pages. You should definitely have an about page and contact page. Those are given, but you want to have things that grow on your website. And so a very important one is your blog, a strategic blog program that's driven by real keyword data, not just like a feeling on an article that you want to write, but actual data. And I'll get into that very shortly. And then the next thing, for our websites, we have a media room. So when it comes to building backlink profiles and the growth of your company, you want to have a way that you are generating backlinks. And so what we do is build out press releases for our clients that get picked up by other websites and build that backlink profile. And so we have that interconnected into the website. So it's something that is very important that will move the needle. So those are just some of the things that I highly recommend go on your website. Now, again, you can focus on many other things, whether it's a gallery or your programs pages. Those are fine, but you want to focus on these core things right here. This is what's ultimately going to move the needle as it relates to the content and structure of your website. Okay, your website is your number one salesperson, and that rings true forever. It works 24 hours a day. It doesn't call in sick. It doesn't forget your script. And once we build it right and keep it healthy, every dollar that you spend on ads or every hour that you spend on SEO, every review that you earn, it all points back here. So yeah, we care a lot about the websites that we build. All right, so let's get on to the engine. What's ultimately going to drive this traffic? And so we're going to talk about our local and AI SEO. So everyone's probably heard of SEO many times. As I mentioned earlier, you have SEO, search engine optimization. You'll hear AEO now, which stands for answer everything optimization. Then you have GEO, which is generative engine optimization. And yes, they have their differences and nuances, but for the most part, it all just kind of coincides back into SEO, search engine optimization, because at the end of the day, people are going to be searching at the very least for some answers. So I'll go ahead and cut through it. The SEO for a green industry company is the work of making Google and AI search tools confident that when someone in your service area searches something like lawn care near me, or they ask ChatGPT who's the best landscaper in my area, that your business is the right answer. That's pretty much it. And so there's no real magic button to this. There's no magic wand that you can wave and it's just an overnight thing. It is a system of small things done consistently that builds momentum for a long time. But this is why a lot of agencies skip it, or even worse, fake it and charge you for it. So let's go ahead and talk about what we actually do in a 1 month span. So This is kind of roughly what a month of SEO looks like for one of our clients. So weekly, we have your Google Business Profile audits and posts. We do a technical audit of your website, your Google Business Profile, and basically just your overall online presence. Um, we're obviously monitoring and managing your server uptime, because that's really important. You don't want to have fluctuations. You don't want to have any downtime, because that does impact rankings. Um, but then, like, we want to talk about the tangibles. Like, what else are we? What are we building? What are we building here? And so this is a really important one. So either weekly or bi-weekly, and this is determined by data. We have a strategic blog content that is chosen by keyword opportunities. So monthly, we'll be doing and I'll get into the whole like blog opportunities in a minute. But every month we're also building out 2 press releases. Or more in some cases. Again, it's based off of data and where we see opportunity. But at the very least, we're putting 2 press releases together. Now, this is to help generate those backlinks. We want to make sure, again, page speeds are not just good, but always optimized. And there are things that can come out, especially with WordPress, pushing out updates, whether it's security updates or whatnot, that could technically slow things down. So we want to make sure that we're going in and optimizing for that. And then we want to make sure that we are submitting everything to your Google Search Console. That's very important and often forgotten about. Google has a thing called Google Search Console that is directly tied to what pages can even rank. And so we want to optimize that, submit for that, and really push for more pages to be ranked for more specific keywords. And then obviously we are running monthly reports. That's obviously very important. Now, month over month work is always tough to track. We like to zoom out a little bit more, but we still want to see the progress that we're making and also see the tangibles that we're doing. And then we have our foundations that we typically do one time. Sure, we might need to come back and do a review of this and maybe optimize it if something significant has changed. But for the most part, we're doing some technical stuff. It's called a schema, where we're putting that into place. And this is really helpful for the search engines to really break down your data so that it can understand what you're doing, where you're doing it at, just basically giving it exactly in a format that's best for that. Then we focus on like the plugins on your website. So we use different plugins for SEO, so we want to make sure that those are optimized. Then one really important thing, and you might have heard this acronym of NAP before, NAP, so that stands for name, address, phone number. This is where we are submitting all of your NAP information and really all of your general business information to several different directories and citations all across the internet, so that it builds consistency online, and this consistency builds trust. This is a really important thing when it comes to ranking, is so that the search engines can verify exactly who you are, and then ultimately what you do and where you do it at. And so then we set up all the tracking and everything. That's obviously very important because what gets tracked gets improved. And then we're doing sort of our major one-time Google Business Profile optimization, but again, that's an ongoing thing. But we're doing the big Google Business Profile, or GBP, optimization, and then we're doing some of the, again, more boring technical stuff of building out and optimizing your sitemap, adding in the robot.txt so that the search engines are able to crawl your website appropriately. But let me go ahead and double back to the blog portion of things. Now, a lot of agencies treat the blog as a filler. One post a month about spring lawn care tips that nobody's going to read, nobody's going to rank for, nobody's going to call because of. That's not what we do. We are focused on strategic data-driven systems. So we pull real keyword data from places like Google Search Console and our other SEO platforms, which are available to pretty much everybody. Then we also use our AI-assisted analysis of the services and service areas of our clients, and we let the data tell us which single article this week is most likely to move the needle on the rankings for the services in cities that actually make you money. So this might be a deep dive article on paver patios in Tampa, or the cost of fertilization in Dallas, some sort of piece like that. But again, it is all built on data. It is all determined by data. So the tools that we use, they're always going to be changing. So that's why we have to stay tool agnostic. But so we use whatever's working right now. And so that output is typically going to be weekly. Sometimes it's every other week, again, driven by data. But it's always going to be about quality over the calendar. It shouldn't just always be the same thing all the time with no data behind it. So the next thing, though, is, and I want to spend a little bit of time here because it is really important, is your Google business profile. So inside all of that SEO work, this is the one asset that punches way above its weight. Your Google business profile, or GBP. This is the little map pack listing. So if you see those search results, you'll sometimes see 3, maybe even 4 if there's like a sponsored post on there. But these are what's going to be tied to the map rankings, and this is specifically your Google business profile. And just because it's map rankings does not mean you have to have a physical location. So you can have a hidden location, even if the business is tied to, let's say, your house or something, or you don't want people showing up at a location, you still show up on the map rankings. So it's very, very important. But this can be, and oftentimes is, the one tool that can drive more calls than nearly any other channel combined. But here's the part I want to be honest about, because it's where most other agencies oversimplify, that the Google business profile does not rank on its own. Its momentum is very tightly tied to your website. So the build quality of your site, the depth of the content on the website, the authority that you're building through SEO, all of that feeds the Google business profile. So a strong website basically means strong GBP, weak website, weak GBP. It can technically be that simple. So we need to make sure that they are just all one system. So we need to be, yes, we still need to be doing things like posting to your Google business profile every single week. That's a non-negotiable. We want to be adding new photos. We want to make sure that we are staying up to date on the services that are listed, because those do change every now and then. Please go in, log in, check your services. You're going to see a title that says, or a headline that says, Google added new services based off of what we thought you offer. You'll notice a lot of those are wrong. So you need to make sure you're auditing them pretty much weekly. But we also want to be generating high quality reviews, and making sure that we're focusing on that review velocity. It's not necessarily about the total amount. Yes, the total amount does have some weight and is important, but we want to make sure that we're not just generating 50 reviews at a time and then disappearing for a year. We want to consistently generate those reviews over time. So that review velocity is very, very important. And you want to make sure that you're responding to the reviews. So that's what we do for our clients. We respond to all of those reviews, exactly how Google prefers you respond to them. And so doing all of this stuff, from the website to the ongoing work, making sure that we're generating reviews, this is what's going to help you climb higher in those rankings. And the really cool thing about this is most of your competitors are doing none of this. They understand they have a Google business profile. I'm sure they might have logged into it, but if they're not doing the necessary steps, they're missing a massive opportunity. And so if you just take away and apply some of this stuff right here, it's going to make a massive, massive impact for your business. And the best part is it's all free. So if you're not leveraging it, you're leaving a ton of money on the table. Okay, and then I want to focus here on the new frontier, and that's AI search. So homeowners are starting to ask ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude. They're even seeing it in Google's AI overviews. Who should I hire? If your content on your site is not written in a way that these tools understand, which is conversational answers, structured data, very clear and well-written FAQs, and the depth of the content on your website, you're going to be invisible to the fastest growing channel in search. So we optimize for that now. It's not a thing that we're going to be doing in 2 years. It's now, it's yesterday. But you're not too late to get on this. You need to get on it though, because it is going to very quickly become the main way that search engines are going to operate. So, okay, let's go ahead and dive into the accelerator, because everything that we've talked about now, very slow moving game. You can be doing all of those things right, and you might not feel that impact for months or even years in some areas. But the way that you can feel an impact right away, nobody loves it, but it's paid ads. So I'll go ahead and just read from this slide right here, because it says it well. Done well, paid ads are the fastest path to qualified phone calls that you have. And really, here's the honest truth. It's also the fastest path to light money on fire if you're doing it poorly. There's really no middle ground here. So when we run paid ads, whether it's Google search, so PPC, or local service ads with LSA, or Meta, we need to treat every single campaign like it's a living thing. We need to watch the data daily, and then we need to adjust based off of the trends, the seasonality, the services, the budget, so many different factors. Nothing in your paid ads should be set it and forget it, especially not your budget. You do not want to be running the same budget in March as you're running in December, unless maybe if you're running holiday lights or something like that in December. But it needs to be following how people are searching, when people are searching, the services that you're offering, and really leaning into your busy season, because that's what's ultimately going to be building up that backlog of work that's going to fill in your slower months. So your Google ads, or any ads for that matter, are going to be one of those things that you need to always have a thumb on the pulse of what's going on. Okay, so let's go ahead, break them down individually by the three that we're going to be talking about. So first, we're going to talk about Google PPC. Then we're going to talk about Google LSA. Then we're going to talk about Meta. Okay, Google PPC, which a lot of times is just called search ads, are the closest thing to a high intent traffic that there is. So someone types paver patio installer near me, they see your ad at the top, they click, or they call directly. And now I want to kind of like address the biggest misconception that I hear about, because I hear it often. Clients come in saying, well, I'm already running local service ads or LSA or Google guaranteed or Google verified, so many different names for it now. I don't really need to run PPC. And I can promise you that is wrong if you want to continue growing. And it's wrong, and the data really backs it up. Like, local service ads are fantastic, and we're going to talk about them next, but they give you very little control over messaging. They give you little control over which services that you can actually push. They give you a little control over which landing pages that a lead lands on when they click on it. And you can't really filter the intent very well. And Google PPC, they give you all of that. You get to pick the services, you get to pick the page, you get to design the page, you create the user journey and all of that. You pick the geography, the schedule, the keywords, everything. You're in full control. And when PPC is dialed in, it's consistently one of the highest ROI channels that we can run. It's not a replacement for LSA by any means, but pairing with LSA, it makes it super dominant. Again, it has that omnipresence. So you're going to be at the top. We want to see you at the top with LSA, in the map with SEO and your Google business profile. Then we want to see you in PPC. Then we want to see you in the organic SEO. Pairing this all together just makes you become the best known lawn care landscaping company in your area. Okay, but let's go ahead and get into LSA, because this is, as it says, the best entry-level paid channel on Google. So, and here's why. So they sit above the regular search results. So again, it's above the map. They show your star rating. They show that you're Google guaranteed or Google verified. So it's building some early trust signals for homeowners that they actually respond to. And instead of charging you per click, and this is why I love running these for as sort of an entry level to running into paid ads, instead of charging you every time somebody clicks it, you're only getting charged per lead, or at least that's what Google says and intends. There's been some discrepancies, but I typically you're only going to be charged when you get a verified lead. And so that's a nice lower barrier of entry, a lower risk way to start spending paid ad dollars than PPC. The trade-off is, again, that kind of control. You don't get to pick the landing page, write the custom ad copy. You got much less ability to filter out the wrong intent. That's exactly why we like to pair it with both LSA and PPC together. But we consider LSA to be the on-ramp and PPC is the scaling lever. So on our end, when it comes to PPC, obviously we handle all the targeting, we handle all of the verifications, the license, the insurance uploads, the bid tuning, even the dispute process, and they now have a lead scoring system that we handle as well. So it really, if you've ever tried to run local service ads, you might notice that it seems relatively easy to set up and run. Yes, it is, but if you want it done correctly and you want to get the best return on it, you need to be constantly working within it, constantly feeding Google the data on if this was a qualified lead or not, and constantly using their services. So if you want the best, lowest risk opportunity to get into ads, it would be LSA. Okay, so I hear a lot of worry sometimes when it comes to Meta, whether it's I've run Meta ads before and they didn't work for me, or it's just not the type of customer I want, or the low quality leads. I get it, and there's definitely a lot of issues, especially if ads are run incorrectly. But I think it really starts from understanding who is on Meta and who you're ultimately advertising to. So what I first want to do is talk about the big differences in the type of person on Google versus Meta. So on Google, these are people that have what we call a high search intent. They are quite literally typing in exactly what they're looking for. And so that's where Google's really powerful, is we can capture and go after the people that are searching for very specific things. So again, high search intent, typically a higher close rate too. Now, you got to understand it's a much smaller volume of people, so that gets a little bit more expensive because you're competing with other people that are also trying to capture those type of high intent leads. And then you have the people on Meta. So you have to understand, this is a social media platform. These people are just either mindlessly scrolling, not looking for anything in particular. And so you have to, one, do something in the best of your ability to stop their scroll. And you're essentially pitching a service to them that may or may not be interesting to them. Now, there are retargeting things and opportunities there. So you probably have noticed that if you said something even near your phone, you're going to start getting those advertisements. Now, so you can do that. But for the most part, these people are not showing a high search intent in that moment. So we have to understand it's a lower search intent, but it's a much higher volume because we can push these ads to everybody that kind of fit a criteria, whether it's your service area or a homeowner or whatever it may look like. And so it's getting a much higher volume, even though these people may not be right. And one of the big things that we see that is kind of mandatory to find the biggest success on Meta is you have to have some sort of reason for them to stop the scroll. And we typically see the main reason is if you have some sort of offer. So these ads always work best when there's an offer attached to the service, whether it's a seasonal deal, a free estimate, a promo, because without an offer, the scroll typically doesn't stop. So that single principle is more important many times than any sort of targeting setting that you'll even touch. But next thing I want to talk, though, is about the Meta Andromeda update. Now, if you've ever run any sort of Meta ads in the past year or earlier than that, and you're still running them today, you may have seen a massive change in your performance, probably for the worse, because Meta, not so quietly, but they didn't make the biggest announcement of it, introduced their new update called Andromeda. And this is Meta leaning into AI much more. So with this recent change, it's kind of rewired how the ad system works, and I want to make sure that you understand it because it's really changed everybody's playbook, especially ours. So when they rolled out this update, they've now made it so that it is creative first. So before, it would be targeting first. You would have your campaign, then you would have your ad set, and then the ad set, you would figure out who you want to target. And then in each ad set and each target, you would just create ads within that. Well, that's all changed. So kind of what this means in plain English, we used to build 4 separate campaign types stacked into basically into a funnel, where we would have awareness to introduce you, engagement to kind of build that social proof, get people to engage with your the ads, your pages. Then we would do traffic to kind of warm them up, and then finally a lead campaign to capture them. So we would have 4 different campaigns, 4 different budgets, 4 different sets of creative. Well, post Andromeda update, a single well-built campaign with a real diverse creative can effectively do all 4 jobs because the algorithm, Meta's AI, decides who sees which creative and at what stage. So the playbook is now a lead campaign as the default for most clients because with creative diversity, it still covers all 4 to fill that funnel. Now, for clients on a tighter budget than a lead campaign, because the lead campaign is the most expensive one, we'll just run a pure awareness campaign because it's the cheapest way to warm a service area. It's basically your online billboard. And across both, we lean hard on the creative variety, multiple genuinely different hooks, angles, and offers. So Andromeda has the real information and signals to match the right homeowner. Really, less is more with this new update if you want to build that creative diversity. So, and this is from all of those things. This is why our ad management is a bit different and why it works. I really could spend multiple hours just on paid ads, but let me just leave you with the things that make our management different because we plan around green industry seasonality. We write ad creatives that sound like an actual landscaper, not like an agency. We write the lead quality. We review the lead quality, and we're not just focused on. So I could spend an hour just on paid ads alone, but I'll go ahead and leave you with these things that make our management different. So we plan around the green industry seasonality. We write the ad creatives that sound like an actual landscaper, not an agency. We review the lead quality, not just the quantity. We shift the budget to what's working week by week, and we report transparently so that you can see every single dollar, every single form fill, and we treat your ad account the way that we would treat our own. And I know we just focused on the main 3 here, which is, again, websites, SEO, paid ads, but it's really everything. It's this entire system that ties everything together here. So whether it's the CRM and the automations, when it comes to when a lead comes in, whether from the website, from Google, from an ad, or from even a missed call, it has to go somewhere. It has to be followed up instantly. And it has to be tracked, and reviews, emails, texts, reports all have to flow back through a single source of truth. That's where our CRM, we call it Service Area Expert, comes in, plus our automation stack, our reputation system, and our call tracking layer. Missed calls turn into an instant text, form fills trigger a follow-up sequence of text messages and emails, and every single call is recorded. So every lead is tagged. Every month you get a real report. This is essentially what we call the plumbing of your entire online marketing system. So most agencies don't offer it at all, or they'll just hand you a login and say, "Well, wish you luck." Well, we love to handhold through this process, making sure that you are extracting the most value out of every single lead, even if it's a missed lead. Okay, and here's what is probably most important to us, and it's going to be the humans behind it. Yes, we're very AI focused and AI centered, and we find a ton of success in optimizing using AI. But every single lawn and land marketing client works with a client success specialist who knows the green industry, knows you, knows your business, and is proactively thinking about your growth. So we have monthly alignment calls, text message access to us for quick questions, real strategy conversations about your season, your team, your pricing, your capacity. We are the partner part of Growth Partner. So without it, everything else is just services being delivered to you. But with it, it is a strategic system that is customized to you and your goals. Okay, so you might be wondering, where does all of this fit? Well, we have two programs. Growth program, and this is for six-figure green industry companies that need to get the foundations right before scaling harder. So it still includes the website, SEO, reviews, the base. Authority program is for the seven-figure companies scaling towards 8. So that would include everything in growth, plus the aggressive paid ads campaign, bigger content strategy, deeper automations, newsletters, landing pages, the full stack that I just walked through. Growth is all about building that base foundation, and authority adds fuel to an already established business. So the program that you're on is all based off of real data. So this is actually chosen for you and with you. And very importantly, we need to talk about who is our best fit and who isn't a right fit, because this work only compounds if the fit is right. Our best clients trust the process. They answer the phone, they pick up on leads quickly, and treat marketing as an investment, not as a lottery ticket or just waving a magic wand to hopefully save your current season. If you're looking for a vendor to take orders or become your employee, we're not it. If you want to micromanage every pixel, we're still not it. If you want a real partner, though, who treats your business like a teammate's and you're ready to invest accordingly, we're absolutely going to be a good fit. So I do invite you to learn a bit more about us. You can check out our website. You can check us out on socials. We're very transparent about who we are from the day you learn about us to the day that we start working together, and several years down the road when we've crushed it together. But here's how you would take the next step. If any of this landed, you can apply to work with us. It's a short application that helps us understand where your business is at, what you've tried, and what you're trying to build. If it looks like a good fit, we'll set up a strategy call. We'll walk through exactly what the first 90 days together would look like. And then we'll go from there. We'll see if it's a good fit. We're never going to force you to become a partner with us. We want to make sure that this becomes a very seamless partnership, a very seamless relationship. So I invite you again to take a look at your business, see if this is something that you're ready to invest in your growth, because we know that our growth partners that we are working with us for years and years to come. And this is going to be a commitment to you, to your company, and your future. So I hope whether we work together or not, that this entire webinar give you a much clearer picture on what real digital marketing for the green industry looks like in 2026. Again, I'm Matt Foreman. If you ever have any questions, you can definitely reach out to me. I am a real person, and I'm always wanting and willing to help anybody in the green industry. So I welcome you to reach out. But thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I hope to talk to you soon.